in Bhutan, and a reporter went up to the king of Bhutan and he said, "What's the wealth of Bhutan? What's the wealth of your country?" And the king of Bhutan said, "Why do you want to know about the wealth of my country? What you should be asking about is the happiness of my country." And when he said that, it got me thinking about places that had high happiness. How many of you want to be happy? Raise your hands. How many of you have tough days? Keep your hands up. And how many of you don't put up your hands no matter what I say? I appreciate it. Thank you for being honest. Thank you. Awesome. To the back. We all want to be happy, so I started looking around and I ended up in this place called Sardinia. And Sardinia is known as a blue zone. Does anyone know what a blue zone is? A blue zone is a place where a ton of people live till over 90 years old and maybe even 100 years old. And I actually went and spent time with some of these people. And I found out that not only are they healthy and they live for that long, they're happy. So then what's their secret? I started to look around and I asked them. They eat the food that they grow. They only eat things that are in season. They make sure that they go for a walk every day. They exercise while they're growing food. They spend a lot of time with each other. But the number one thing that they had, the number one thing was that they had community. They had love, they had trust, they had these meaningful relationships, these bonds that no one could break. These long-term friendships where they could share how they felt and they could learn from them. So Sardinia was story 2. Sardinia was this place that I saw that people had these meaningful relationships. But I've thought about this for a long time and I found that there's one thing that blocks meaningful relationships. And I'd love to see if you agree with me or not, but that one thing that I've seen is comparison. Yeah? Anyone have an issue with comparing? Yeah. Me too. How many times do you see someone, you go, "I wish I had that. I wish I looked like that. I wish that was happening to me." We live in this wishing, worrying world and we compare ourselves. And when we compare ourselves, we can't connect to someone because if we always want what they have, how can we be friends with them? If they're always having things happen to them and we're close to them, how do we really get close to them? How do we really build up love and trust? So one of the things I want you all to know today is, don't worry. You're never ahead, you're never behind, you're exactly where you need to be. Right? You're never ahead, you're never behind, you're exactly where you need to be, and don't let the internet rush you. Right? Don't let social media rush you, don't let anything rush you, because you're exactly where you need to be. And every minute that you're spending wishing you had someone else's life, you're wasting a minute of yours. And so that leads me to my third story. And that story, for those of you who don't know, some of you may do, but I spent 3 years living as a real monk, like shaved my head, wore robes, the full works. I lived in India, and in that time I learned about this principle. Now in English, we have words for feeling other people's pain, feeling like compassion, feelings like empathy, right? Anyone here compassionate, caring about people? Awesome. Empathetic? Any empaths in the audience? Awesome. So we have these words for care, compassion, empathy when we feel other people's pain, but we don't have any words for feeling other people's joy. Like we don't have a word that means feeling people's joy, experiencing people's joy. And so when I lived as a monk, I learned about this word. It's a Sanskrit word, and it's called Muditā. I want you to say it after me.
Muditā.
You guys are experts, that's amazing. Say it again.
Muditā.
Amazing. M-U-D-I-T-A, Muditā. Muditā is a word that genuinely means deeply experiencing the joy of others. Taking joy in the joy of others, being joyful when others are joyful and winning. When you see someone winning, you celebrate their success. That's what Muditā means. And that is the antidote to comparison. Because when you're feeling the joy of just yourself, guess what? You have one person to be happy for. But when you're feeling the joy of your community and your squad, you've now got a million reasons to be happy. You've got so many more reasons to be joyful. So I want to leave you with that message. I'd love for you to practice Muditā, and I want you to remember this. Every rejection is just redirection, and every delay has a blessing. Thank you so much, guys.